Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series.
Because creators are businesses.
What we do is not simple.
Give, the fans everything that they deserve.
Being creative
is like doing a 5,000 piece puzzle.
is something that you can learn and do over and over again.
Always be as authentic as I can be.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. Guys, I'm so excited. Miss Andi Perelman's here with me. She's the founder and CEO of Atalanta Marketing. She has this incredible experience and career in sports and marketing and digital marketing, and I am so excited to have her on here so we can dig into all of this. Andi, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat.
I am thrilled because not only have you had this incredible career, you spent a massive chunk of it in the NHL, which I'm so excited about. I'm a fellow hockey girl. I grew up in a hockey arena, so I am thrilled that I have a fellow NHLer here with me. You spent over a decade with the Penguins, leading their digital and marketing efforts, truly climbing your career with them in different roles. What stands out to you most from that chapter of your career?
Ooh, it feels like it was a huge chunk of my life. So that's a big question. I think there are definitely big successes and like crazy moments that stand out. Working for a hockey team, there's always big news that you kind of get first and have to figure out how to handle. And some of those moments were really crazy. We had our Yarmir Yager bobbleheads like being held hostage, on the highway, and we were trying to figure out where those were. So that definitely stands out. I got like a phone call late at night from my boss and someone else in our marketing department who was handling the promotional items, and they're like, "You're never going to believe what we have to tell you, and we need to make a plan." So that stands out. Obviously, being a hockey girly, being able to cover Sidney Crosby and the milestones and how special it is to cover an athlete, like a generational athlete like him, I think it stands out a lot. Being able to watch some of the best hockey and being there for wins and Stanley Cup championships, and that stuff is really special and stands out too.
I appreciate anytime the Pittsburgh Penguins roll in here to play my Carolina Hurricanes, it's always a great hockey game. It is always so much fun to watch. And it's not one of those where you're like, oh, this is going to be super aggressive. The visiting fans are just going to be assholes. Like, it is truly one of those games that it's such a great competitive matchup. And I've always appreciated whenever Penguins roll into town.
Yeah, I feel like hockey's just so much fun. And some teams really like show up on the road. And I feel like Carolina is one of those places where everyone wants to be. So I'm sure all the Pittsburghers are like, let's go down to Florida, let's go to Carolina, like make us a vacation. And the Hurricanes have been doing some really cool stuff on their social over the last few years too.
Yeah, we've had quite a few cases where the arena, when the Rangers are in town, it turns bluer than we like because of all of our the new Yankees down here. But we try to make it as loud as we possibly can when they roll into town. So
oh, for sure. And I feel like Hurricanes fans are like super into it. There's been so much cool stuff going on with that team. Just like since the whole like bunch of jerks moment, and like just everyone really rallying around the storm surge and everything.
It was fun for sure. It was a party almost every game at the end when we won. So it was a good time.
Definitely.
What were some of, having a front row seat to a lot of these things happening, a lot of sports shifts happening in media and digital? What are some of the biggest shifts you witnessed in how a sports team connects with fans digitally, from where you started to, how you left things with Pittsburgh?
Yeah. So when I started, I think social media was seen as a way for fans to get news about the team. It was, people knew that it was a two-way communication channel, but I don't think that people were thinking about it as customer service, as ticketing strategy and partnership activation, and all of these things that really are so important for the bottom line of the business. And as time went on and social media continued to grow and these platforms started to optimize and do run ads, and it wasn't just following fun stuff and following your friends, but really following businesses and big trends happening and different things being sent to you, through the algorithm changes. And I think it became clear that partners and sponsors wanted a place on the Penguin social, and there was a huge, active, engaged audience that we could kind of activate and mobilize in different capacities. So my job really just changed because sponsors started coming to the Penguins and saying, we don't want necessarily a suite, or we don't necessarily want signage. We want digital activation, and we want video content. And that was a big shift. Ticketing, you can not just send out blast messages, but really do targeting and see immediate response and click through. And it doesn't take tons of time. I could send a text message to Penguins fans in Ohio and immediately see how many people were clicking through and opening up those text messages. So just a huge boom, I think, in the digital landscape from when I started to when I left. And just a big mindset shift, I think, from leadership and sponsorship and really everyone involved about how we use these channels, not just for like fun videos, but to activate and to really bring in revenue.
Yeah. And even before you're with the Penguins, you were in social, you were doing trend spotting, you were doing all of this. You've truly been in this digital space. How much do you love data? How much do you love metrics?
Yeah, it's like I love and hate relationship, I guess. Because I think there's something to be said for trying new things and not being kind of beholden to only the things that have worked in the past. And I think data is incredibly valuable when you need things that are proven. You need strategy and planning. But I think there's also something to be said for trying something new. And sports teams, I feel like, are on the front end of trying new trends and strategies, and not necessarily just being like a trend follower. Like, you're kind of a trend setter in some ways. And so I love data. It's really helpful to know what is working and build strategy around what's working. But I also feel like digital is the perfect mix of creativity and data and strategy. And so if you lose one side of it, I think you lose what makes your brand really special. And you're going to fail on both sides anyway. Yeah. So you might as well try and do both.
My famous phrase that I say all the time, like, well, we have to do some testing to see. We have to test.
Yep.
I feel like every social media person working in that space says that at least once in their career, if not multiple times a week, of like, well, we have to test to see if this is going to work. And it is truly looking and saying, okay, these metrics are coming back and it's saying it's working or it's not, or it's doing this and that.
Right. And like, working can mean so many different things, right? Like, depending on who the stakeholder you're serving is, they might care about video watch through, they might care about click through rate, they might care about email data collection, and I think different things work for different objectives. Different content works for different objectives. And one thing that worked last week might not work this week, especially in hockey, where the fans are on this like roller coaster of emotions all the time with your team. The response is just not going to be positive if you have a 3-game losing streak, no matter what you do. And sometimes you're like, let's hold off on this content for another week, but it might get worse in the next week, you know? And so
could move to 6 games.
it's hard. It's hard. And so yeah, knowing the data and testing, and I think the platforms are also getting a lot better with including the testing right there in the platform, which is really helpful. That's something that I feel like is a big shift with like trial reels and A/B testing on Facebook video, and all of that makes it easier.
I feel like it, and as much as I love a good platform, like I carry Sprout Social with me almost everywhere I go in a corporate setting, but it's one where, to your point, you don't quite need a tool like that as much as you used to, because LinkedIn's analytics have gotten a lot better natively in platform. Instagram's has gotten a ton better natively in platform. Like, we're continuing to see these things be built out, or it just is an easier process of like, oh yeah, I could just go into LinkedIn really quickly and pull this information.
Do you like looking at your Sprout schedule? Like, do you feel like that's what's the most valuable for you?
I love a good calendar.
Oh, you're one of those social people.
I love a good calendar because when you get things on the calendar and you're able to see it, you're like, okay, my mind feels empty. It feels complete. I feel like I have everything is there and I'm good.
For sure.
It's like the
I
big
get that.
brain dump situation the social media a manager or person can have at some point.
Well, and I think it's hard to have everything. It's like, okay, even if it's scheduled and everything everywhere, it's like, okay, but like, do I want to check on it once it's live?
Yeah.
You know, does it like randomly Instagram will just like add in an extra photo that's like a duplicate? So like how do you look at everything kind of in one place? I feel like is really sometimes just helpful to see it all in one place, and like even just set an alarm on your calendar, like, hey, like
Check.
let me just check this.
Yes.
Let me check all these when they come out.
In your experience, what's the secret to turning fans into digital advocates? You know, people who not only just follow a team, but like are actively engaging and are amplifying its message.
That's a great question, because I feel like there's nothing more valuable than that. And it's hard for some brands, right? Like hockey, it's easier. I was working for an agency before I went to the Penguins, and I was running social for a toothpaste brand. And it's like, how do you get people to just like share about how much they love your, like they might be a super loyal consumer, right? You might be buying the same toothpaste for like 10 years in a row and never even consider buying another kind of toothpaste. But are you really talking about it? Like, are you hyping it up to your friends? Like, probably not.
Yeah. Like, how much does toothpaste come up in a conversation with?
No, right. I know. And even just like you might buy the same one, but could you even say, like, here's exactly like what it's called? Maybe.
Right now, I actually probably can't.
And so, yeah, I think it's easier in hockey. I'll definitely say that first, because I think you know, some brands have a much tougher battle there. But I think connecting with people who are talking about your brand, who you see consistently engaging, being able to pick, you know, special moments in order to really go the extra mile, you know, for people who are consistently engaging, and then hopefully they can help share that story of those like special moments. So we did some like surprise and delight at the Penguins, people who just said, like, there was a woman who had lost a lot of weight, and she was like really proud of herself, but she was really upset that her Penguins jersey didn't really fit her anymore. And like, I feel like, you know, that's a great opportunity to be able to be like, hey, like, congratulations on your weight loss journey. Like, so glad you're feeling great about yourself, but like, you shouldn't be upset that you can't wear your jersey. Like, what size do you want? We'll send you a new jersey, right? And so that's something where, you know, we might send one message to one person, but ultimately that person is going to tell all of their friends a story about how the Penguins kind of went above and beyond, based on that specific person and the specific scenario to kind of make her day and kind of engage her with the brand a little bit more actively.
All right, I'm going to ask the question. Andy, after a successful corporate career, you jumped out of this world and you went and became a founder and a CEO of your own marketing company. Why go do this? Why go do something that to a lot of people sounds just nuts?
Yeah, it sounds nuts to me too sometimes. I yeah, I never had like a dream of becoming a business owner. This wasn't something that I think I had on my life bingo card, but I feel like it kind of life kind of took me this direction, and we had some like large layoffs, and I was part of that group. And so because of that, I needed to kind of reassess my career and my experience and what I wanted to kind of do next. I felt like I was in a job that for a long time I was like, this is it. This is my dream job. Like, I love it. Like, literally, when I got hired, I like cried. Like, it was so embarrassing how much I loved my job. And I think for a while it kind of became like my personality. And I think that's really unhealthy. And looking back, it's great to love what you do and be passionate about kind of the day to day and feel like you're contributing to something that you care about. And but then I also look at it and I say, well, what was I sacrificing? And what things was I missing out on, and what things in my life were just hard because I was living just one piece of my life so exceptionally involved. And so when I got laid off or let go, I don't even know what like it officially is. I got laid off with a group of people who I really respected, who also worked with me, including my boss, who had been there for my entire time there, but also maybe 10, 15 years longer. And so we started getting together and with basically the whole group of people who got let go, and said, like, what do you want to do? Like, where do you want to go from here? And who still wants to work in sports, and who still wants to be in Pittsburgh? And how can we help each other and share network and share skill set? And I think very quickly I started to figure out that I wanted to be in Pittsburgh. I love working in digital marketing. I didn't really want to work for another sports team elsewhere unless I felt like I could really kind of contribute on like a consulting basis, but not really kind of be in the weeds all the time the way that I was at the Penguins. And so I just kind of was like, let's start this business. We'll file for the LLC and start doing all the steps, which at that point I had no idea what those steps were. I talked to someone, I'm like, why an LLC? Why not an S corp? Like, what does this mean? Right. It's so I'm like, no,
I'm like, what's the
I might teach this, but like I never remember learning any of it.
No.
Yeah.
This is where I'm like, I wish when we were in high school, I'm like, these are the things that I wish were taught to us on some sort of how to balance a checkbook, how to like some business mindset things, because at some point, especially these days, like everybody's kind of running into something business wise that nobody had the knowledge of unless you went to college to get your business degree.
Totally. And I feel like doing it and learning it is also something totally different. Like so I filed for the LLC, and then starting to get contracts and different things coming in. It's like, well, how do I do billing? And this client is asking for liability insurance. And if this client is in Canada, am I getting paid in Canadian dollars or American dollars? And how does that convert? And what does that mean for my taxes when I'm filing? There's so many like little questions like, oh, okay, I get a big project and I want to hire on somebody to help with the project. Okay, I need a 1099 for them. Like, but also what if they're doing the project live? Does my liability insurance cover them if there's an issue? And I think once you're doing it, you're learning so much. And I've connected with a lot of people who have started their own businesses and shared a lot of great resources with me. But it's an adventure every day. I'm sure you feel the same way. Like I'm always learning.
Google is my best friend.
Thank God ChatGPT came out when it did.
Google is my best friend. I've been lucky enough where I have resources, and my dad's been in corporate America. He's a business guy as well, that I can look at him and be like, taxes. I'm like, I got a question right here for you. And he most of the time has an answer for me, and if not, he has somebody that he's like, go talk to this person. I'm like, okay, great. But it is the constant, I don't want to say drinking from the fire hose, because I don't feel like it is that 24/7, but you are in some way doing that just because of the intake of knowledge that you're trying to do in so many different facets too. Like one day you're writing social media posts, another day you're a graphic designer, whatever, you're hopping into these things, you're drinking a fire hose of different topics.
For sure. And I think before it was like, I know every little thing that's going on with the Pittsburgh Penguins business. And now when I'm hopping in and helping all these clients of mine, I know like a sliver of what is happening, and being able to figure out how to help and contribute when I'm not in every meeting and I'm not in every, email chain. You kind of have to really jump in and learn a lot, because it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you first started and you went out and did this, were you like, okay, how do I get them? How do I get my clients? Are they going to be lining up at my door? What was your perspective on this?
It's a great question. And I love to ask other people that question too. I'm like, how are you getting clients? Like,
find people.
It's so different every time. And I think that's and it's different for different people. Like for me, I feel like I found clients in different ways. But also when I talk to other founders, some of them are doing a ton of outbound, and some of them are working just their network, and others are posting on LinkedIn and finding people from thought leadership. So I think for me, I kind of started the business and thought, okay, well, I'm going to share my story. I have a great network. I have a great platform. Just my work has been so public my whole career that if I kind of share, here's where I'm going and here's what I'm trying to do, hopefully people want to know more. So that was kind of the first go was like, let me just put myself out there and share where I'm trying to go and what I'm doing. I went to some conferences and I was like, let me just talk to people and learn. And hopefully, some things will come together. And quickly they did, mostly from referrals from my network and people that I've worked with in the past who needed kind of temporary help or project help. And then from there, I kept telling these stories, and one connection would lead to another connection. One LinkedIn post would reach someone who needed something. And it's all been kind of in a variety of different ways.
I want to hit on something because you were saying earlier, like it's a common knowledge of you work in sports, say goodbye to kind of any free time, being a part of, getting to go birthday parties and family outings and things like that. Like this is your life. now that you are transitioned in this space, one thing that I've loved about your LinkedIn and following you, like you were just at a Forbes party. You're talking about going to these conferences. Do you feel like you're able to kind of be part of this community and this social and digital and sports and marketing world more now that you can kind of go to these conferences and learn from people and be part of these experiences?
For sure. I think there still things that I miss. Like I miss having, the NHL group like Slack and being able to have kind of regular calls with the platforms where they're giving us best practices kind of built into my schedule. But I think for the most part, I have so much more time to expand. And at the Penguins, and I would assume any career where you're kind of working with one brand and like a kind of a cyclical schedule, you're kind of thinking about, okay, well, here it's the beginning of the season, and here are the things that generally happen at each kind of milestone throughout the year. And, at this point, we're going to start brainstorming for our Valentines. And at this point, we're going to start, doing our kind of playoff push. And I think, being able to just learn, and I can say, I'm going to prioritize anytime I want. I'm going to take an AI writing class, or I'm going to go to a conference for 4 days, and be able to prioritize my learning and growth, where sometimes I feel like I wanted to do that, and there was too much kind of happening that was out of my control and I couldn't prioritize. So yeah, it's been really nice. I think I'm learning a lot from people outside of sports now too, which is really great. Because when you're in it, you're just like, you need to know how something works on somebody's website, and then you're not, you're having a call, but it's for something so tactical and not for something so super strategic sometimes.
When you are sitting with this group of who are your fellow colleagues and you're kind of talking through and thinking about all of these things and I want to go and do this is the space I want to be in.
Mhm.
What gap did you see that you said, okay, I'm going to make my space here, and this is where I'm going to open my marketing. This is where I'm going to live.
It was definitely a lot of reflecting, because like I said, like I didn't have this dream. Like my dream was always kind of to work in sports social for a team, and to be working for my hometown team with like a sport that I loved best was just always the dream. So figuring out, okay, well, I feel like I've hit all these milestones in this dream. We're done. Like we're done here. So like, what is the next dream that I never have really thought about? And maybe I should have spent more time thinking about, is this job still serving me, and am I still growing as a person? I've said to a lot of people who are close to me, like, I really feel like I got my dream job too early in my life. And I loved it, but I also like at some point it's hard to keep learning and growing and doing really good work when you're working with the same product and the same people.
Yeah. And to be clear for everybody too, like the last stint of where you were with the Penguins, you were VP of marketing of social and digital, correct? That was your title.
Yeah, so I started at the Penguins in January of 2014 as a new media coordinator was my job title. They gave me a choice between social media coordinator and new media coordinator. I worked there for I think about 6 months before my direct boss left. And then from then on, for the next 10 years, I had one boss. And I moved up, and I think a lot of people in sports sports social specifically, like have a hard time moving up within one organization. And so I got really lucky, and people gave me a seat at the table. People vouched for me. Social was growing kind of at the perfect time for when I was growing. And by the time I was leaving, I was VP of marketing and digital. I was overseeing a lot more. And I had hired my whole team.
Incredible. What does being the founder and CEO of your company now, what does, being on your toes, being agile mean to you in this modern marketing context?
Well, I've always felt like digital is always changing. So when you're working in the digital marketing space, like you have to be agile, and it's just what does that look like? Um, Part of that is reading, industry publication, what other brands are doing, how platforms are changing lately, what's changing politically, and how that might impact these platforms. Even not just, I mean, there's so many things that are changing from a digital marketing perspective all the time. And so, being really tuned in and making time for that, I think is essential, especially as, I'm feeling like I'm getting old, like old for working in digital marketing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to make sure that I'm still like really making an effort, because I'm on these platforms every day, but there are so many trends and things that are happening, and younger people getting, you know, running these social accounts, and how do you make sure that you can speak to different audiences and translate like general marketing principles with trends and best practices and all these things that are changing. So yeah, it's been interesting. I think you just have to really read and communicate and be consistently learning, because otherwise you'll really fall behind quickly.
Well, and as you were talking about it earlier with the trends and with teams and things like that, like this week, I mean, Taylor Swift's new album came out. So, what is everything that we're seeing on social right now? Is anything having to do with one of the new songs that has gone out? Next week, it will be completely different. It will be something that has sprung its head over the weekend, and somebody will hop on it and it will spread like wildfire.
Yep, at any moment anything could happen. And I think it's, having an evergreen strategy and having brand pillars that you want to stick within, and having some kind of content plan in place, but being able to change it, being able to stop it, being able to add things as you go, and having people that can approve those things or give you the autonomy to run with it. I think that's been a huge, huge shift in social. Is like, okay, well, when I worked at the ad agency, okay, you're working and creating content for your clients, but what happens once you create that content calendar? Are you sending it to them? Are they making the edits? Is it all being scheduled? Is it going through legal?
Yeah.
Like how many people need to kind of review before you have something that can get out there? Because the best social a lot of the time is social that's responsive, and social that's two-way and responsive to people, but also responsive to the environment that we're living in.
I don't want to prod too much on this, and feel free to share whatever you want to. When you transition out of the Penguins, outside of, trying to figure out where do you go next in this, for me mentally, I took a hit with mine. I was like, you go back and forth with, my worth doesn't feel worthy anymore. It doesn't, like, my job, my role, my what I contributed doesn't feel good enough, doesn't feel all these things. Whether it be mentally, spiritually, whatever it was there something for you that you had to battle as well as you're trying to figure out your next steps?
I've talked to so many people who have transitioned out of sports, and the experience is always so unique. Some people feel like they just hit I'm done. This is no longer good for me. I didn't realize it until I got to this specific point and I'm out, and now I'm a much happier, healthier person. I've talked to other people who feel totally differently when they've left of their own accord versus kind of being forced out before they were ready. Specifically for the group at the Penguins, like we all feel differently, and we were kind of let go in the same way on the same day, with very similar experience in a lot of ways. But I think mindset matters a lot. I think that I've always been kind of confident in my work, and I take a lot of pride in my work. And so I didn't feel that my work wasn't good enough because I have always known that my work was good enough. That being said, I think starting something new where I was unsure of what it would look like and what I knew and what I didn't know about other industries, and starting a business, I think that was scary, and I didn't know if I was going to be good at every aspect of running a business, because even though there were sales aspects to my job and there were legal aspects to my job, it wasn't solely on me. So I think that I felt nervous very much about that. I felt nervous about some months I knew I was getting a nice paycheck, and other months I was not making money. And so figuring out just how do I deal with this, and is this something that I'm comfortable with? It's been interesting, but I've always been confident in my work. I think I very early on knew that I didn't want to be a bitter person for what had happened to me. And so pretty quickly I said, this is like a new opportunity for me. Like I'm starting a new chapter in my life, and like I can look back and feel really good about things that I've accomplished, and content that I've produced, and people that I've helped along the way. And now, I can take those experiences and the platform of the Pittsburgh Penguins and help, build my business off of this platform that I have.
The sales hat.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know how to like have a conversation with people. I know how to like market myself. When you go in and you're sitting and you're trying to close a deal, you're like, I don't know how to sell myself to try to get you to, if it's between myself and one other person, I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, is like, I'm like, you don't want to undersell your value. So like if somebody's choosing between two partners and one says, hey, I can work for, this rate, and it's really not like feasible for you. Like for me, like if I worked for certain brands that I was like really excited about for what they, ended up going with another partner, the rate that they ended up going with another partner, it wouldn't be like livable for me. And I think, you have to know your value, and your worth, and like, yeah, like maybe this is an easy thing for me to help you with your strategy, or maybe it's an easy thing for me to pull an analytics report for you. But like, also, I have over 10 years of experience doing this, and I'm not just bringing this like hour-long project or 20-hour project. I'm bringing 15 years, of working in social and getting my master's degree and all of these things that, have value and have and I have expertise. And so like, you have to make sure that, you're making it clear that, these things are It's not just like a couple hour project. It's something that took a lot of time and effort to kind of perfect and learn.
Absolutely. You've gone from leading a team, with the Penguins. You hired your team. You had just said that to us a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
And to now, it's you. It is you in your business. What lessons from all of that and leading a team have you carried into your entrepreneurship journey now today?
I think I'm still learning. I think from being an entrepreneur, like I'm still doing a lot on my own, and I think part of that is the thing that terrifies me most about running my own business is being responsible for somebody else's livelihood. And um, like I know I can figure things out and adapt, but the idea of, okay, I have somebody on my staff who's expecting to get paid at a certain cadence and have a certain amount of work and knowing exactly, a year in advance what that looks like, terrifying.
Oh God, yeah. You're like
Oh,
health insurance starts coming up. You're like,
oh my gosh, so scary. And so I think that there are lessons that I've learned from working with other people, working with different personalities. I've learned a ton from working with people that I was really seeing more than I was seeing like anyone else in my life. Like I was at the arena all the time. I was traveling with these people. I was, with them late at night, like writing copy for like an hour after the game. And so we all got really comfortable. And I think creating a culture of, open communication and being able to say, like, actually, I don't like this idea. And here's why, even though, I'm your boss, being able to like share that I think was really valuable because I don't always know what I'm doing. Like I might be pretending. But being able to have everyone's
yeah.
TikTok feeds are different and what's trending and cool and normal and different, and it's just so nice to have a varied opinions in an open space with communication. So always have valued that. I loved that from my team. And then being on my own, I think it's just figuring out, well, what things am I good at that I want to own? And what things are lacking for my company with it just being me, and where do I need help? So obviously there are things where I don't have expertise, like writing legal agreements or, you know, trademarking my business, like what goes into that kind of thing. I didn't know, but I also think there are things where just, I'm not a graphic designer. I might be able to, step in and help in like one quick project or work within templates, but that's not a skill set that like I studied in school. It's something maybe I'm going to get better at or work on. But just knowing kind of where my success story is going to come from, and then where am I going to run into trouble. And I've heard a lot of people at the conference you were speaking about that I went to with Forbes, the founder of Poppy was talking about how her like superpower is like thriving in chaos. And so she needed people who were like organized. It needed to be like organized chaos. And so I think that's something that I'm trying to kind of figure out, heading into year 2 of my business. So like, what are my superpowers? Where do I need help? And how do I get people in where I don't feel stressed about the idea of me being responsible too much for their livelihood so that I can keep things growing and feeling stable.
I think it's also for me, it's like what are my time limits? Like where is my focus need to be, and then where do I need to bring in that extra support? To your point, I don't have all the time in the world to sit here and create motion or animated graphics or whatever it is. So I mean, I have projects and things I want to get across the line. I put a call out to LinkedIn yesterday of like, hey guys, I'm looking for a video editor that can help me with these two very specific things that are going to take up time on my plate here coming up, or are just some things that I would really love to not have to think about right now so they can get done. I can get them the things they need, and those projects are just out of the way and I don't have to worry about them any longer. That's kind of the stuff that I run into too.
Yeah, and I mean, even just, okay, well, what things can I do with AI where I still feel like there's real, um, value? Like, I never want to be creating slop, but can I organize my projects more efficiently? I'm always going to work with a designer rather than making like AI crap art. But if I'm making a mock-up, like maybe I can do it that way. And like we could say, hey, we're going to work on this with a designer, but like here's generally the idea of what we're trying to do and in like an internal documentation. So yeah, I think, just being smart about time that's really important.
Massive. I value people who are like, yeah, I time block all my days. And I'm like, I wish I could do that. Like my day, every single one of my days is different. And it's just something that I'm like, I don't know if I could do that right now in my life.
It's hard. I feel like even when I try and do stuff like that, like I'll add like somebody told me once, like adding like lunch into your calendar was like huge for them. And I'm like, nobody paying attention to my calendar. Like, no one's respecting that I'm putting a block there to go walk. Like, there's no way. So I think just trying to build it into like okay, if I'm being asked, this might need a change, things will come up, especially as a business owner where you have to do a project for a client who needs it quickly. Like, they're paying you a lot of money, and some clients, like I'm going to drop everything and do whatever they need because like I want to produce a great project, and some of them I feel like are relying on me. And so, respecting your time and trying to build things in, but I think being inflexible with your calendar and your life is not going to set you up for being like a business owner who continues to renew business.
Yeah. And those things, when those things do happen to you, you're like, they come back to you. They might not come back to you immediately, but those things come back to you in tenfold, and they might refer you to somebody else. Like somebody might, you know what I mean? Like that referral process is just how you make the money these days. And that
for sure. And I think there's like a fine line between, I want to go to a conference and I want to do a thing and like draw a boundary for myself between my my life and my growth and my learning and my work. But it has to be flexible. Like I was planning on Monday to go to this event with women in sports and events, and I had paid my like $25 to go to this like candle making class. And then one of my clients asked me to do something in the morning, and I had something else I was working on for another client during the day. It's like, this is my first opportunity to really like show off my work with this new client of mine. Like, I have to make a change. And sometimes it's disappointing, but it's all a balance and figuring out how to keep all your balls in the air, and which things are more important, because it's, some things it's okay if you're not on the ball right away and doing the thing, and other things it's not.
100%.
Yeah.
What has been a piece of advice that has truly stuck with you, has guided you throughout your career, and what is one now you pass on to others?
Well, my first job out of school, my boss, I was like trying to do so much. Like I loved like having a plan and knowing where I was going and what was going to happen with all of my clients and all of the content. And I think very quickly, I realized like not everything is going to be super clear, and I won't always have answers from clients when I want them, and I won't always know exactly how things are gonna play out. And so my boss said to me in my like first review, like, you need to get more comfortable with ambiguity. And I realize that's a thing like probably in my whole life, not just in my work, right? Like I like knowing a plan. Um, if I'm going on vacation, like even with my family, I'm like,
Oh,
what clothes do I bring? Like, what are we doing? Like,
oh, you
how do
and
I
I
make
would
sure?
travel so well together.
Yeah, like I think it's just I want to be prepared, and I want to be the best version of myself. And even if it's not like perfectionist, like I'm definitely not perfect, but I want to put my best foot forward. And I think figuring out how to not be stressed when I don't have all of the information available has been an ongoing focus point for me of just, okay, well, I don't know everything. And especially now as a business owner, I'm not going to know everything about all these businesses. So how do I take what I know and build and do my best and ask the right questions at the right times, but not be consistently asking a million questions and not being a solution finder. So yeah, that's a big one for me. I think for other people, I mean, if I see some of myself in that person, I would absolutely give them the same advice because it's been huge for me. I think coming to a problem with solutions and not just like more problems is also a part of that for me is um, not just asking a million questions. Because I feel like in school, people are always like, ask questions, like get involved. It's like, okay, people don't want like 1,000 questions when you're working and trying to get stuff done and it's stressful. But I think, just meeting people where they are, everyone has different struggles and um, ways that um, they work and how they work with other people, and working with so many different people over the years, like I'm sure I've given them different advice, but I think all of that is just understanding who they are and what things bring them joy in their work and what things stress them out in their work, and um, couldn't be more different from person to person.
Andy, my last question for you is just what's next for you as a leader and a storyteller, but also for Atalanta Marketing? Like what do you have on your mind? What's cooking up for you?
Yeah, it's great question. I'm still every day I'm trying to kind of figure out where I want my business to go and how I talk about it. And I think this last year has been a lot of learning and growing and trying new things and just saying yes. And I think in the future, I'm sure I'll get more kind of tied down to here's exactly what I'm trying to do and what I'm best at. And I think just defining that a little bit further. I think there are specific clients that I'd be really excited to work with and go after. But I think so far it's been, let me try different projects. Let me continue to learn and kind of network and see what kind of comes my way through just
Yeah.
connecting. And I think in the future, I'd love to get more involved with women's sports. I know we both like have a lot of passion in that area, but I think there's so much opportunity and growth right now, and there's so many people who are doing such cool stuff to move women's sports forward. So I'd love to do that on the business side and get more involved with some women's sports brands. Um, yeah, we'll see. I'm kind of like floating in a sea of unknown and just like doing my best, like holding on to like all the buoys as I go with things that I know, and yeah, figuring things out and just being the best version of myself that I can.
Are there some conferences that you have gone to that you would recommend for people to go to, whether they're a marketing professional, whether it's a sports situation? Do you have some recommendations for everybody?
I went to the Gondola conference the last 2 years and I thought it was awesome. I think that they're just doing such cool things when it comes to bringing sports professionals together and being able to do that not just at the conference, but like also through our platform and showing off work and being able to source talent. So I thought that was a really awesome conference for people who work in sports and people specifically who work in sports social. The Forbes Under 30 Summit was really interesting as someone who's 35. Like just being able to like
I loved that in your post. You're like, I'm 35.
like I at first I was like, am I allowed to go to, like am I allowed to
Yes.
go to this? But I've never felt like older. The difference between 25 and 35 from a marketing standpoint was like humongous. Um, but I learned a lot and it made me think about the way that I'm doing a lot of my work and what, so much of the Forbes under 30 Summit is like these founders who are starting their businesses so young and with, like not even a ton of work experience. They're just kind of like going in and starting and they have this vision and these, they know how to surround themselves with the people they need to be successful and raise tons of money for their ideas. And a lot of them were selling products rather than services, but I found it really, really interesting. I'd love to go to more Forbes conferences. I know they have one for women and one for CMOs. So I think those might be interesting in a totally different kind of way.
Love that. I love those recommendations. I'm always on the hunt. I'm like, South by Southwest is coming up. They're already promoting all of that stuff. I'm like, okay, what are some other great places to kind of, I'm like you. I'm like, I want to go to conferences to learn and to talk and to just see everything.
Totally. Have you ever been to South by Southwest?
Have not. It's on my list. It's like a bucket list item for me in a weird sort of, it's like a career bucket list.
Me too. And it's always at the time where like this hockey season was so crazy. So I've never had the chance to do it. I looked at it last year. It's expensive. I mean, it's hard to get to these conferences. But you can like volunteer. There's ways to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one where I'm already getting the emails. I'm like, can I swing this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to know like what's the value of going to these things and like who are you going to connect with and is that going to bring in business or is it going to teach you something that's going to be really like exceptionally valuable? But so many times there's like free virtual events and learning from great people. I feel like I'm signing up for so many webinars now too of like, all right, like let me just take like a lunch and learn. Like today I did one about SEO that I went to Georgetown and they sent like, hey, this woman who's an alum is doing like a lunch and learn kind of webinar about SEO. And I was like, what, I'll listen to this at lunch. And it was really interesting. Like she was trying to definitely sell like her course afterward, but there were some learnings there. And I feel like that stuff's really valuable too.
I love that. I love that recommendation. Andi, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking me through all this stuff today. I so appreciate it, and I love getting to dive into your expertise, and it's been so much fun. I love getting to talk to people like you who have, gone out and done their own thing, but have also got this great sports mind and sports background. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for chatting.
Yeah, you guys, I'm going to have all of Andi's socials down below. Please go give her a follow. Go check out her incredible company. If you're in the need for some marketing, she's the lady for it. She is the woman. But I'm going to have all that down below. And as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.